in Beaver County. That's a look at the news for now. I'm Noah Haswell on 99.3 FM, AM 1230 WBVP, 95.7 FM, and 1460 AM WMBA. Also streaming live around the world at beavercountyradio.com.
Rush Hour is just getting started on Beaver County Radio. It's time for Driving in the Fast Lane with Frank Sparks. It's the show that talks about what's happening in the news, locally, regionally, and nationally. There will be guests, and Noah Haswell will have the news at the top and bottom of each hour. And now, here is the host of the show, Frank Sparks.
Hey, good morning and welcome in on this Tuesday morning. It's the third Tuesday of the month. You know what that means? Tom Young from First Consultants will get us started out. And then after Tom, we've got a couple guests coming in. Blackhawk School District Superintendent Dr. Johanna Veneta is coming in, along with Steve Higgins from the Beaver Falls Larry Bruno Foundation. He'll be here at 11:30. So a full day planned for you, but as always, we get it started on this day with our friend Tom Young. Good morning, Tom.
Hey, Frank. Good morning. Good morning. I had fun being you a couple weeks ago.
I was listening. I was listening.
I think we had fun that day in our discussion and what we talked about. Hi, folks. Good morning. I'm Tom Young, the financial coach here on the station. I have a show every month on the third Tuesday from 10 to 11. Just be aware, I have been on this radio station since 1987.
Wow.
With Chris Shovelin, who was the station manager back then, and he and I had fun with it. So mostly on, a few times off, but I've been on here for a long time. I guess next year will be an anniversary, Frank, won't it? Will be, 40 years next year?
Yeah.
40 years next year.
We're going to have to knock it out of the park all year.
Absolutely. Am I going to get a pension, Frank?
Oh, yeah, why not? Let's do the
Absolutely.
Tom Young Punching Fund. We'll get people involved in it.
I've authored several books. I have a new book coming. It's at the printer right now, and it's called Jumpstart Your Financial Freedom. It's going to be $19.95. If you want to buy it, you can contact me with a credit card, and with shipping and handling, it's going to be about, $4, $5 for shipping and handling for postage. Postage isn't cheap anymore. And I mail books. They cost like $5 to mail a book to somebody. So $19.95 and $5 for shipping and handling is what it's going to be. I look for it to be ready probably within the next 4 weeks. Be ready to go. Tax season is over. Have you now? Are you one of those few people that your tax season isn't going to be over till September because you have an extension? Because you didn't do what you were supposed to do during the year. And how are you doing with that?
Not me.
Our show today is going to be talking about, realize that it's the middle of April, April 21st. A fourth of the year is gone. 3 months out of 12 is now gone. How are your resolutions coming that you made in January? Are you on pace? Are you working toward where you want to go? How are you doing? So let me ask you a question. Did you get a nice refund at the end of the year when you did your tax return? I know my refund was a little bit better than it always has been for a while. Let me take a break for a minute, and I want to open the show with a prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this new morning. Bless our listeners with success, health, and family love. We pray for world peace and the end of conflicts. Guide us with your grace and light today. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
It's funny. When I think about the show, I sit down and my brain just starts to flood when I sit down and put notes together. And Frank knows I'm sitting here. And I probably have 20 pages of paperwork sitting in front of me. So I talk a lot. I'm not going to run out of things to say.
Anyone watching on social media, you can see the pile of paper that Tom has in front of him.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're ready to go.
So anyway, are you happy with last year's results? What are you going to do different this year? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, there's a term for that. that you don't. I don't want to go there, and I don't want to say it. But, if you do the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, I think you got a little bit of a challenge. As Mr. Spock would say, it would not be logical to think of something different. My unique approach finds money for people. Money they're losing unknowingly and unnecessarily. I show them how to get it back and build a plan to create more simply by efficiency. What I do is simplistically unique because I believe in efficiency in everything we do. So we're going to talk about mortgages today. We're going to talk about taxable savings accounts, qualified plans, college planning, and capital purchases. Those are the 5 areas that when I meet with new people, that's usually where I can find thousands of dollars that are being squandered that can be recaptured and redirected in better direction to create more benefits for what you're looking for and going forth. Remember that saying that I talk about, it's the 95% of everybody ends up dead or dead broke. That story that they interviewed 100 young people aged 25, and then they followed them through life. Now, 25, imagine talking to a 25-year-old about their hopes and dreams and how positive they would be and how big thinking they would be. And it just seems that over time, as we age, the world beats us up and squeezes those dreams out of us. This isn't what it's going to be. It doesn't work that way. But yet we always find in society that 1% that ends up with more than we are. How did they do that?
Right.
Well, they followed those 100 people, and at age 65, they went back and looked them up. One had become rich. 4 of them were retired and living their Position A lifestyle. They were able to continue their lifestyle into retirement and not run out of money before they ran out of life. 5 of them were still working because they couldn't afford to quit. 36 have died, and 54 of them were dependent on other means for their basic survival in what they were doing. So if we look at that, how do we get out of that box? Because generally, the way that we think, now, how did we get this way? We follow the examples of those that came before us. True? I mean, we are the product today of all of our life's experiences, maybe the books we read, the people we met, the things that we learned and places we traveled to determined who we are today. And unfortunately, if I don't look at that in a positive way, then I'm going to figure out it ain't working. There's just something that isn't working, and I don't know what it is. So I seek out this person called a financial planner. Well, I have all these initials after my name, and I could say, yes, I'm a financial planner. I'm qualified by the education that I've acquired to be a financial planner. I don't like that term because when I look in the marketplace, and if you go to 10 different people that hold them out as a financial planner, you're going to see 10 totally different plans that would take you where you think you want to go or where they think you want to go. So how can there be any consistency if in the financial planning arena, these 10 people that you talk to all have different methods, different goals, and different ways to get somewhere, but yet it still falls back with all of this technology. And I go back into the 1980s because in 1979 and 1980 under Jimmy Carter, inflation hit 15.6% and interest rates skyrocketed. In 1980, the prime rate was 21.5%. So if you were a business owner making a loan at the bank, you were 1.5 over prime. So you were paying 23% interest for a business loan. A lot of people went bankrupt during the decade of the 80s and what went on during that time. But at the same time, I look at that and I see those high interest rates. Then companies created products that were tied to that interest rate, product called universal life insurance. And they were making 12 and 14% projections for 30 years, like the interest rate was never going to come down again. And a lot of people were sucked into that. And in that, ended up by the end of the decade of the 80s, there were class action lawsuits across the entire insurance industry dealing with this universal life type product. And it went from universal life in the 80s to low interest rates in the 90s, and the stock market skyrocketed, and it went to variable universal life, which means now your investments, your cash value is in investments. And by 2000, that sort of died and went by the wayside. And you see what I'm saying, folks? If you follow the trend, the trendy thing is not going to get you where you want to go. All right. Our first topic is going to be about mortgages. Now, we hear in the marketplace, well, you want to get a 15-year mortgage, not a 30-year mortgage, because look how much interest you're going to save on your mortgage. That is a correct statement, folks. But that is not the whole story. Paul Harvey would say, and the rest of the story is, mortgages are tax deductible. You have a fixed payment for 15 to 30 years, and what happens to that dollar over that period of time? So if we go 3% average inflation of the government, which is what they've published on the average, and we do that for 30 years, and I start with $1 today, 30 years from now, what is that dollar worth? Frank, do you have any idea?
Probably, I would say double. Like
22 cents.
20. Well, I meant
purchasing power. Yeah. Purchasing power of that dollar in day one was $1. 30 years later, it's 22 cents.
Okay.
If we go back to 1972, when Nixon removed us from the gold standard in America, that was when the Federal Reserve started fractional banking. And that was the beginning of the inflation we've experienced since that time, what Jimmy Carter did, and on and on and on. And here we are today, and the dollar today from 1972 to today is about 14 cents. So if I have a mortgage payment today, and let's say that mortgage payment's $1. I'm just using that as an analogy or a comparison. So today my mortgage payment is $1, or maybe it's $1,000 today is my mortgage payment. But it is fixed and cannot change for 30 years. So at the end of 30 years, what would my mortgage payment be the equivalent to? The $1,000 would be like paying $220. Mm-hmm. So that's the first benefit of that long time to pay those mortgage payments. The banker loses. Do you understand why they promote 15-year mortgages? Now, 15-year mortgages have a higher monthly payment. If you look at a 15-year mortgage payment and a 30-year mortgage payment, let's say they're both at 5% interest mortgages. I mean, they're 6 now, but let's say, okay, they're both at 6%. At the end of 15 years, your mortgage is paid off, and the theory that you are fed is that at the end of 15 years, now look, for the next 15 years, you can save all of those payments. On the 30-year mortgage, you're still making payments. Okay, I take that monthly payment that I was paying on the mortgage. Let's say the mortgage was $1,000 for a 30-year mortgage. My mortgage payment for a 15-year mortgage would probably be $1,800 or $1,900 a month. So the difference between the 15-year and the 30-year mortgage, if that were saved for the first 15 years, I would have enough money that if I choose to, I could pay the 30-year mortgage off. But I would have had access to that money for the first 15 years. Let me say this, and I'm going to say it several times today. Access to money is the secret of all secrets. Because when you don't have access to money, it is the beginning of financial stress. Do you have financial stress in your life? Have you ever had financial stress in your life and understanding that, at the end of the month you ran out of money before you ran out of bills? I mean, I've enjoyed that earlier in my career. I have experienced all of this stuff. So the difference in the mortgage is the 30-year fixed rate mortgage. And then I add in opportunity cost. Well, what is opportunity cost? Opportunity cost is the cost, the interest you would have earned on the money you paid. So now we're going to take the 15-year mortgage. Let's say the payment's $1,800 a month, and I'm going to compound that at 6% interest. And at the end of 15 years, I have a number. I'm going to take that number and I'm going to compound it for the next 15 years, and I'm going to come up with X. If I take the 30-year mortgage and the monthly payments, and I compound all those monthly payments at that same 6% interest, at the end of 30 years, guess what? Both numbers are the same. I can do this in several different ways. It's hard. I can't show you numbers on here, but I challenge you to come and see me. 724-728-6820. 40 minutes we'll spend together. I'm going to answer the 4 toughest questions that everybody's looking for answers. How much interest do I have to earn? How much do I have to save? When can I retire? And how much will I have to adjust my lifestyle in order to be able to retire and have enough money to last throughout my life expectancy without running out of money? So all of these numbers, and it's everybody that comes to see me, I go through all of these things. And it's just, it is astounding to me, the aha moments that people have when I sit and I actually show them this stuff, that the mortgage broker didn't show you this. They didn't tell you that the 30-year mortgage is better than the first-year mortgage. And all that down payment thing. We're told the bigger the down payment, the more money you save. True? We've all heard that. The bigger the down payment, the more money you save. It's a lie. Because the down payment, when do you ever get it back, Frank?
Never.
When you sell the house.
Well, yeah, but...
Okay, if you sell the house. Because if you trade up and you buy another house, now you have another down payment that's going to go on the other house. So a down payment has no rate of return on it. And people think it does. It does not have a rate of return. I see we're coming to the bottom of the hour. We got to pay for the show and run some commercials. So we're going to take a stop there, and we're going to come back and talk about taxable accounts, qualified plans, college planning, and capital purchases.
Put freedom in your future. Freedom United Federal Credit Union in Rochester.
Are you a fan of the historic high school sports history that we have in Beaver County? Beaver County Radio and the Fry Transportation Group are proud to introduce Way Back When. Every Sunday night at 8 p.m., Beaver County Radio will rebroadcast a classic high school game in its entirety. You'll hear the call of famous Beaver County Radio sports broadcasters from the past and present as they take you way back when. Tune in this Sunday, April 26th at 8 p.m. as we go way back to the 1949 state championship game between Aliquippa and York. The Quips, coached by Sam Milanovic, were looking to cap off an undefeated season and bring Beaver County its first ever state championship. Way Back When is presented by the Fry Transportation Group and brought to you by Falcones Moon Township Ford, The Hangar, and Beaver County Radio.
Local programming controlled by local people. It's The Beaver, 95.7 FM and 1460 AM WMBA. Coming to you live from the St. Barnabas Control Studio in Brighton Township.
Beaver County Transit Authority connects you to where you want to be. The doctor's office or well-deserved shopping spree will take you to wherever you please. Safe, no fuss, leave the driving to us. Hop on, adventures coming your way. Beaver County Transit Authority, BCTA. Ride the bus.
BCTA Connect, your ride to out-of-county destinations, is live now. You can book a trip as soon as today to destinations in Cranberry, Wexford, Warrendale, Moon, Sewickley, Leetsdale, and more with the BCTA Connect mobile app. For medical, employment, or any other trip need, BCTA connects you to out-of-county stops. Download the free app today.
Beaver County Transit Authority, BCTA. Ride the bus.
Reddick retains dominance at Kansas. I'm Susie Armstrong. The story next on NASCAR Today.
This season, it's on.
Bring it home, Cam.
On point, on fire, and sometimes on purpose.
No way!
The bumping, banging, edge of your seat, blink and you miss it excitement only found here.
They're both in the wall!
One lap, one race, one NASCAR weekend at a time.
Hell yeah, boys!
Don't miss the NASCAR Cup Series, brought to you by Coca-Cola at Talladega. Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern on Fox.
NASCAR fans, iRacing Studios brings you NASCAR 25. Race hundreds of the biggest stars of the sport on top tracks from Daytona to Sonoma. Start your career in the ARCA Menard Series and work your way up to Cup while managing team members, sponsors, and more. Or compete online with NASCAR fans around the world. NASCAR 25, available on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. Head to NASCAR25.com to buy now.
After a nail-biting finish at Kansas Speedway, Tyler Reddick collected his 5th NASCAR Cup Series win of the season, his 4th from the pole. The 2311 Racing pilot now has a 105-point lead over second-place Denny Hamlin. It may be early, but Reddick is definitely focused on the chase.
We saw today the 11 strong. I know the 20 is strong as well. The 5, he finds ways to get more speed out of his cars when it seems like handling's lacking a bit. There's a lot of really good teams, a lot of good pit crews, a lot of good minds in this garage. Over these next 17 races, the ones that are missing it a little bit here or there are going to start hitting it, and I think the competition will certainly continue to tighten up.
I'm Susie Armstrong. This is NASCAR Today on the Motor Racing Network.
Put freedom in your future. Freedom United Federal Credit Union in Rochester. Beaver County Radio's news source. 99.3 FM, 1230 WBVP, and BeaverCountyRadio.com. Here's Noah Haswell.
Good morning on this Tuesday, April the 22nd of 2026. We will have a complete Beaver County radio weather forecast after we take this look at news. A lawsuit was recently filed against the Pittsburgh Pirates stemming from a fight between a fan and a game day employee which occurred at PNC Park on May 4th, 2025. Video showed the fan and the employee fighting during the Pirates' game. That fan has now sued the Pirates and the employee. The lawsuit filed in Allegheny County on behalf of Patrick Egan alleges that during the fight, Egan suffered a concussion and facial injuries, including a chipped tooth, a bloody lip, and more. The incident began when Egan and his friend were accused of harassing a woman who worked at a concession stand. The game day employee, identified in the lawsuit as Raymond Stroud III, intervened in the situation. Stroud was immediately suspended, and police confirmed last year that no charges were filed in the wake of the fight. Egan is seeking damages for assault, battery, negligence, and invasion of privacy. The suit also alleges that the Pirates failed to release security surveillance video of the incident that would have showed that Egan did not harass the concession worker. Pennsylvania State Police in Pittsburgh reported via release today that 20-year-old Wesley Cowan V of Swickley was charged for tailgating after a 3-vehicle crash occurred in Robinson Township on April 1st, 2026. Cowan was driving on I-79 North at 3 p.m. and 54-year-old Damian Lauderdale of Bear Creek, Alabama, engaged the brakes of his vehicle due to traffic conditions. Cowan hit the vehicle of Lauderdale when merging into the left lane, which caused the vehicle of 50-year-old Anthony Sabat of Pittsburgh to hit Cowan's vehicle. Lauderdale was the only one that was injured as a result of this incident. He had an injury with an unknown severity but refused transportation. Gas prices are 4 cents lower in western Pennsylvania this week at $4.14 per gallon, according to AAA East Central's gas price report. The national average for a gallon of regular gasoline is at $4.04 after decreasing 8 cents over the past week. The price for a barrel of crude oil has also continued to trade below $100 over the past week as regional tensions persist in the Middle East. The report states that the average price for a gallon of regular gas in western Pennsylvania at this time a year ago was $3.62, and the average price that you can expect for a gallon of regular unleaded gas here in Beaver County is about $4.20. And about 150 Pennsylvanians representing around 15 advocacy groups are organizing a rally at the state capitol this Wednesday. Here is more from Danielle Smith.
They plan to protest the tech industry's growing influence in data centers for artificial intelligence and urge legislators to safeguard residents and the environment. Mary Collier with Pennsylvania Stands Up says that they're meeting with lawmakers to push for policies that protect residents, affordability, and natural resources.
We're going to declare our firm opposition to the construction of new immigrant detention centers and also our opposition to the construction of new hyperscale AI data centers across Pennsylvania.
Collier says a new report out Wednesday details big tech's growing footprint in Pennsylvania and its impact on local communities. Danielle Smith reporting.
Here's the Beaver County forecast.
We're going to see lots of sunshine today, along with a chance of showers and possible thunderstorms later in the evening. We'll reach highs of 66 and drop down to lows of 55. And tomorrow it'll be partly sunny with a chance of rain and thunderstorms. Expect highs of 70 and lows of 48. I'm Lisa Marie with your Beaver County weather.
You're driving in the fast lane with Frank Sparks on 99.3 FM and 1230 WBVP. You can also stream live on beavercountyradio.com.
It's currently 51 degrees in Beaver County. They'll be back top of the hour with more news. And we are visiting in hour number 1 with our good friend Tom Young this morning as he makes his monthly appearance here on Beaver County Radio. And Tom, where'd we leave off at?
We were talking about mortgages. I have one more thing to talk about mortgages, paying extra. You know, a lot of people, they're paying extra on their mortgage, another $50, $100, $200, $300, $400, $500, $600, $700, $800. Oh, I want that mortgage paid off, so they're putting all this extra money on their mortgage. Well, here's a question for you. When you pay extra on your mortgage, does that change the payment? No, it does not. You have a contract for a number of years. Payment doesn't change. The other thing is if you have an emergency and you need that money, can you run down to the bank and say, Mr. Banker, I've been giving you all this extra money. I need some of it back?
Nope.
No, you'd have to reapply, finance a new mortgage, home equity loan, or whatever to get it. So all of this stuff about extra money, paying higher payments when you don't have to. It's about having and creating access to capital. If you have access to capital, you can eliminate credit card balances, which are average 20% or more. Interest rates now, a lot of things can be changed. And having access to capital allows you to learn how to create in your life the infinite banking concept, which means I'm going to use my money as if I were the bank, and I'm going to pay me back at interest when I use my money so that I don't experience opportunity cost loss. In other words, if I spend $1 or lose $1 unknowingly or unnecessarily, yes, I lost the $1, but I also lost the interest that $1 would have earned for the rest of my life. The importance in that is in typical financial planning. What I learned with all the initials after my name was we would sit here and say, okay, Frank, here's what you make today. It's not about whether you make enough or not enough today. We're going to take your income today and we're going to project it at 3% interest to age 65, whether that's your retirement date or not. We're going to pick that date out and we're going to assume interest rates. We're going to make a lot of assumptions. I don't know about you folks, but the word assume has its own statement behind it. So here you are, you've made all these assumptions. This is my 50th year in the financial services business this year. I have yet, in all these 50 years, in the thousands of people that I have met, ever met anyone that had a plan that they stuck with for all that period of time, because you know what happens, folks? Things change. Politics changes, interest rates changes, tax code changes. All of those things change. So in my mind, the only valid planning is efficiency planning.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be as efficient as I can be today in my current lifestyle, saving as much money as I can, and managing it in the most efficient way, avoiding debt and all these losing strategies, so that when I get to that date, whenever it is, because I don't know when the date is, that date may come because of illness or injury or disability. I may be forced to retire early. All I know is I want to have the most I can have when I get there. Does that make sense?
Makes a ton of sense.
I want to have the most I can have when I get there. Now, how do I do that? I look at everything I'm doing today and always analyzing what is the best way to do this, what is the most efficient way to do that, and I apply mathematics. It's really the bottom line. It's just we went through this mortgage, and the average person in an average mortgage, they're not managing it properly. They're managing it the way the bank wants you to manage it.
All right, do you want to take a phone call?
Yeah, absolutely.
Put on that headset there.
All right.
Make sure it's all plugged in and everything's good to go there. The big black knob controls your volume level. Can you hear me okay?
Okay.
All right, you ready?
I don't hear nothing yet.
Uh-oh. Is it plugged in?
Yep.
There you go. Nope.
Okay.
Turn that big black knob. Turn that big black knob up.
That's what I'm doing.
Okay. Can you hear anything yet?
No.
Oh.
There it is.
Okay. You hear me now?
No, I hear you now.
Okay.
I can hear you. I can hear you
me
now.
Okay. All right. Here we go. Good morning. You're on Beaver County Radio.
Good morning.
Good morning, Deborah.
How are you?
Good.
Listen, hi, it's Mr. Tom Young. I don't normally call in the radio station, but I have a question for you.
Okay.
Since you're talking about taxes and things like that, President Trump, did he give a tax break to everybody like he said in a big, beautiful bill? That's number one question. And number two question, did he eliminate tax on tips and overtime? I'm going to hang up and I'm going to let you answer the question. And you have a blessed day, Tom.
You too, dear. Thanks for the phone
Deborah.
call. Thanks for the call. That is absolutely a great question, because those are true. In other words, no tax on tips and no tax on overtime. Now, you still have to report it, but and it gets phased if you make more than, as a couple, it's over $200 and some $1,000 a year. In other words, the average person is going to get this benefit. That was the purpose of it. It was for the middle income people and the lower income people. So there is no tax on tips, and there is no tax on overtime, and there is no tax on Social Security if you're in that income group. And again, I think the number for a single person is up to $150,000, and I think the number for a married couple is up to like $250, $280. I don't have the number in front of me, but yes, it's true. I mean, I have talked to dozens and dozens of people recently. My own tax refund, I've been doing taxes. I'm a CPA, and every year I try to stay close to the bone, and we ended up with a few $1,000s more in tax refund this year that I never experienced before. So the news media is not telling people the truth. I talked about it the last radio show when I was on and filling in for Frank. We talked about the Trump derangement syndrome, this psychological disorder that has been created by the news media over the last 10 years. I don't care if you like me, folks, tune me out because I'm a Trump supporter, but he is the only guy that has actually done what he said he was going to do when he got elected. He got elected by the high majority of the Electoral College and by the popular vote. So he is doing nothing more right now than what he was voted to do. And yes, those tax benefits were in the big, beautiful bill. They were retroactive to last year. So when you do your taxes this year, if you did them, you got a value in those tax changes that were made. I hope that answers your question. Let's move to taxable savings. Saving money in a taxable account. And I'm going to pick on CDs. So if I put $100,000 in a CD at 5% interest, At the end of 30 years, if I've averaged that 5%, my account value is $432,194. Wow, sounds great. However, along the way, I paid $99,658 in tax, and I'm using an average of a 30% tax bracket. Now, people say, well, I'm not in 30. Now, wait a minute. How much of your income is taxed based on your income? Whether it's local, federal, state, I mean, there are lots of taxes that we pay that people don't pay any attention to.
Isn't it about 34% altogether?
That's about right, Frank. Okay. So I'm using 30%. So the tax over 30 years will be $99,658. You remember that opportunity cost thing? You know, that when I spend $1 or lose $1 unknowingly, unnecessarily, I lose the interest that dollar would have earned. That's another $85,568. So my net value in that account is $246,968. And that averages 3.6% rate of return on that account. But you know what else we got to add in there, Frank? Inflation. So what is that dollar worth today? $101,347.
When you started out with $400.
So you started with $100,000.
Okay.
And today, after taxes and opportunity costs, you net $246,968, and the purchasing power of that money today is $101,347. So tell me, folks, what did you make? Did you get ahead? I don't think so.
Right.
But along the way, you have other expenses that you could have used this money for through the banking concept. In other words, instead of borrowing at the bank, there are more efficient ways to do things. And I just wanted to put this out there. Why are you following the plan this way? I mean, it still falls back to the 90. You can't deny the 95%. Those aren't my numbers. That's from the Bureau of Labor Statistics of the federal government of the results that are being acquired by people going on. Okay.
So what kind of money what kind of account do you recommend for somebody to keep their money in?
You need to have tax-favored accounts. And I'm not going to go into the type account today. There are several of those. But tax-favored accounts are available that provide lots of other benefits and still give you access to the money without involving the government. I think that's the key word here is I want to move to a position where I'm disconnected from the federal government. I don't want them to know what I'm doing. I don't want any reports going to the government on what I'm doing.
Right.
I don't want the government to know. And it is possible to plan that way. I haven't gone to the bank in decades to borrow money. Folks, the last time you went to the bank to borrow money, did you enjoy giving the banker all of your personal information?
No.
Copies of your last 2 tax returns and on and on and on. And then you hope and pray, oh, please, 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 approve my loan, approve my loan.
Right.
I've been there and done that. I'm not going back.
Another phone call. You want to take it?
Yeah, let's take it. Yeah.
Right.
Sounds good.
Good morning. You're on Beaver County Radio.
Hey, Frank.
Bill, what's up?
How are you guys?
Good.
I wanted to run something by him. My dad, he was an industrial engineer down at H.H. Robertson, but he should have been in financing. How does he feel about the Roth IRAs?
That's a great question because I'm going to move into qualified plans here, and I'm going to talk about the Roth.
Okay.
Here's the thing.
He should have been. He graduated Geneva.
Okay.
And he had all kind of wacky ideas in people's opinion. So you were on mortgages. I did something that he told me to do, and most of the banks didn't even want to do it. I found a mortgage company that would do, what I wanted to do.
It's still negotiable. When you go to the bank to get a mortgage, if you're a quality borrower, there is always a negotiation that is available in some ways.
Well, he pay your own taxes.
Well, I think that's the way it ought to be.
disciplined.
I think let me say this about taxes. You know, they automatically withdraw it out of my pay, so I don't see it, I don't feel it. I believe I should get 100% of my pay. I should get my gross pay, and I either have to write a check every payday to the government, and I have to send them the check. Or I put it into my checking account, and the government deducts it out of my personal checking account, so I have skin in the game. And I believe that would make a very big difference on people's attitudes and get their attention about taxes and what we're talking about.
Or with the bank, as far as the mortgage, I wanted to pay my taxes. Don't put it in the loan.
Well, I've never done that. I've always paid my own taxes and insurance.
You got to be, you got to be disciplined.
Yep.
That's one thing he'd tap you in the ear. Now, this is what I'm telling you. You have to be disciplined.
Well, that's what's missing from a lot of people, the discipline to do whatever. It's just like
great. It worked great. He said, "What's your taxes?" They were $800 or something.
Right.
He said, "Every payday, put that in an account."
Divide by number of pays in a year, and you build an account to have that money in place to pay it when it's due.
Yeah, tax day comes, write the check out of there. You
Absolutely.
got a couple bucks in interest.
Absolutely. Great. Thank you for your call. Listen up. I'm going to talk about Roths and that as I go on here. Thank you.
You got another one. You want to take the other one?
Yeah, okay.
All right. Good morning. You're on Beaver County Radio.
Good morning.
Good morning, Frank.
Hey, Georgie.
Good morning, Tom.
Good morning.
How you doing? Hey, question, Tom. This company's always on TV advertising LifeLock. Now, how can a person go in and steal that? Go in and take all your information down, go to these banks and that, and put loans and steal your title on your home. Can they actually do this? Is this a fact?
Absolutely. That stuff is happening right now. I mean, I've had to replace credit cards in the last 5 years probably 3 or 4 times. Where do they get that? I mean, it's just LifeLock. I have LifeLock myself. Not advertising for LifeLock, but I've been in it for several years, and I want my information as protected as I can be. And even with LifeLock, I've had my credit cards hacked because I bought something online. A lot of my purchases are online, so that information is out there. And they're so sophisticated at the way they do this today and how they get it. I don't know what the future is going to be, but I think that's a good thing to do. LifeLock is a good thing. Thank you for your call.
Tom, here's the question.
Yes.
Hold on a second. Okay, you're talking. I can understand they could put loans against you like that, but how can they steal your property off you?
Well, they change the documents. They forge names and change documents, and then they make a loan on your mortgage on your house that you own.
Why can you do that without proof of who I am?
Well, that's what fraudsters are. I mean, I can't say that, but it's what they do. They duplicate or create documents, go to the courthouse, and they do that. I mean, they duplicate driver's licenses. They duplicate everything.
Well, how do you get your Social Security number then? That's another question.
Stole it from somebody else?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, in other words, if I go over to the courthouse and go over to the deeds and records and that, is that open to the public? Anybody can get
Sure.
information?
Yeah. Absolutely. You can go in and see whether you would give with a street address and know whether a house has a mortgage or not. That's why I have a big mortgage on my house, because they wouldn't be interested in trying to get a mortgage on my house.
I like that.
You know, it's
good.
just the way it is. So thanks for your call. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Yeah. All right, we got about 4 minutes left.
Okay. Well, let me jump in qualified plans, and we'll go through some more of this next month when I come back. And qualified plans. What are qualified plans? Those are plans that are approved by the federal government that allow you to put money away before tax. The tax still has to get paid someday, but you get to put it away before tax. Now, there was a question about a Roth that somebody said, now, if you take an amount of money, pay the tax, and after tax, put it in a Roth. So then it grows tax deferred, okay? If you take a qualified plan before tax, so your account you're partnered with the government, that your money is not yours. The tax money is still the government, so it's compounding at the same interest rate that your money is. And at the end of the game, at the end of the period of time, if I take my qualified money out of my IRA, after I pay the tax, the net value is going to be the same value as my value in my Roth IRA that I didn't pay tax on, that I paid the tax up front. Remember that opportunity cost? When I paid that tax, it has its own opportunity cost. So at the end of the game, both values are the same. But you say, okay, but it's tax-free going forward. I understand that. But even in a Roth, you have limited access to that money. So now qualified plans create what I refer to as debt disease. Does that make sense to you? In other words, I put all of my discretionary savings over here in this account, qualified IRA or a Roth IRA. I have little access to it, so when I need to make a capital purchase, I've got to go to the bank and borrow money, or I have to run credit card balances. So there is a negative effect by partnering with the government. That's all you're doing is taking on the federal government as a partner. And if you step back and just think a little bit about the federal government and the debt the government has, it's $39.14 trillion right now. Their tax collected was a little over $5 trillion, but they spent $7 trillion. And that's gone on for the last several years. They are irresponsible, unaccountable for anything they do. And we as people, we are not holding them accountable and voting them out. I was angry. We had this conversation, Frank, earlier when Elon Musk was in there and he created this Doge, and they started to find all this money that the government, and I have a list here somewhere of all that money, where it was going to transgender men in Algeria or wherever, and millions and billions of dollars. Why didn't you get angry, folks? I'm talking to you, the listeners. You're out there. Why didn't you get angry? I've seen very little anger. Now, I see some of it on social media. I see people get on there, and I get on there and talk about it. But I'm ripped and ticked off, and I'm tired of hearing about people with Trump derangement syndrome because what do you want? You want baby killers, and you want transgender, and I'm not against them. What you do in your private life is up to you. But don't throw it in my face. It doesn't mean I have to accept it. Sorry, folks. I'm getting off on a little bit of a rant here.
I had the same conversation the other day, Tom. I know where you're going.
And it's just, I'm just so worried and scared and in fear of losing the America that I've lived in for 57 years. I see it slowly being eroded away, little by little. And the thing that isn't being published out there is all of these protests and riots for Hamas and Palestine. All of these riots are funded by people that their mission is to destroy our government, to turn us into a third world country. And if you don't believe that, do some research, folks. It's out there. It's all over the place. And it is as true as I'm sitting here talking to you today. And as I wind down, you need to come and see me. I'll make you two promises. I'm not going to ask you to buy a thing, and there won't be a second meeting unless you want it. And I personally would guarantee you that you will gain knowledge that you've never seen or heard before with mathematical verification. Everything I do is mathematical. And nobody, even the financial planners, they use opinion, hearsay, and rumor more than they should in order to develop plans for people. If you want to know somebody to listen to, you've heard me talk about NESARA GESARA. That's a real thing. And if you look at this document, zeroes out all credit card, mortgage, and other bank debt due to illegal banking and government activities. Now, what do you mean, illegal banking and government activities? Fractional banking is illegal. It is counterfeiting the money through the Federal Reserve. That $100,000 example I did earlier in the bank, you put that in the bank for 30 years, you ended up with $432,000. The bank would end up with $4 million because they duplicate that money 7 to 10 times over and over and over again through the Federal Reserve and fractional banking. I guess I'm about done. So
Yep, you got
I'm
about 10
located at
seconds.
1413 3rd Street in Beaver, PA. God bless you folks. Give me an opportunity to sit down and talk. If something you thought to be true wasn't true, when would you want to know? 724-728-6820. I'm in Beaver. I do nationally. I do Zoom meetings. So this broadcast is all over the country. Actually, it's international because I have people watching me from Africa, South Africa, Europe, Asia, Pakistan. God bless you all. We'll see you next month, Frank.
All right. Sounds good, Tom.
I have one question. Have you had your Hanks today? If not, what are you waiting for?